Hey, hey, just made it. You just made it. Okay, so it's good that I actually showed up late. All right. So, yeah, let me just go ahead and start recording. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Tumor 15, and welcome to another rant stream of mine where we tackle some movies. We just rant about movies, of course. That's what my rant streams are for. We rant about shit. So, today, the type of shit that we're going to rant about is, again, some movies like FNAF 2 and both Zootopia movies. Those are the topics that we're going to cover today. Yes, Maple, that's correct. I literally just answered your question, but like I think you typed that in before I answered it, of course. But yeah, but yeah, that's what we're doing today. So let's go ahead and get started. But before we do that, um, before we do that, um, let me. Yeah, you're fine, Maple. Don't worry. Yeah. Better safe than sorry. But yeah, like as the title and the thumbnail say, yes, I'm covering the FNAF 2 movie and the Zootopia, both Zootopia movies, because I already did the FNAF 1 movie along with Wish in a live stream sometime. It was either early this year or sometime last year. I don't remember. I do I still have the one I still have do I have my YouTube studio window up? No. I'm not even bothering looking up. But yeah, I already did FNAF 1, so we're just gonna go ahead and do FNAF 2, and we're going to cover both Zootopia movies. So, I recently watched FNAF 2 and Zootopia 2 in theaters, as I've said in my recent live streams. And I also mentioned in one of my live streams that I rewatched Zootopia 1, just so that I could, rant about it, because I didn't want, because, it had been how many years since I last watched it? So, like, at least a few years. Because I didn't watch it like no, actually, no. It has been a long time. Like, probably like I think I watched it shortly after it was released. I don't remember, but yeah, I had to rewatch it just to prepare for this rant stream. Oh, I'm not gonna cover. Wait, am I recording? Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna cover Wicked, part 1 or part 2. At least not right now. I didn't cover part 2. I did recently watch part 2, yes, but and I watched the first one a few months ago, but I'm not gonna bother covering those. Like, at least not yet. I haven't fully decided whether or not I'm going to cover them, but honestly, I liked both. I think the first one's a bit better than the second, but the second one is more exciting than the first. But so I think it's really a toss up between the two, but I don't feel like doing a rant stream on those right now, so we'll wait on those. Um, I also watched the three newest SpongeBob movies, the Plankton movie, the Sandy Cheeks movie, and the Search for SquarePants movie. And they all sucked. I mean, was anybody expecting otherwise? We all knew they were gonna suck, and they did. A few, like one was better than the others, but they all sucked. But I'll cover that in the next rant stream I do. And I forgot what day I was gonna do it on. Thursday. I think I was gonna do it on Thursday. So what is that? New Year's Day. So I think I'm gonna cover that on Thursday. But let's see. You watched the leaked version of FNAF 2, but you barely paid attention to it. Some movies be like that. Like I could barely pay attention to the FNAF movie and the Sandy Cheeks movie because they were so damn boring. I almost fell asleep during the Plankton movie. I'm not gonna lie, I almost fell asleep. I actually could not watch it in one sitting. I had to watch it in two sittings. I was like, I mean, to be fair, I was already kind of tired when I was watching it, but I would think that a movie that's good and interesting would help me fight the urge to sleep, but no, it only exacerbated my urge to sleep. So So yeah, I had to watch that in two sittings, along with the Sandy Cheeks movie. I could not watch that one sitting either. I was just so bored with it. Jesus Christ. The Search for Squarepants I didn't like either. I don't like any of these movies. I really did not like any of them. I mean, I think honestly, I think the Search for Squarepants movie is the best one out of all of them because it sucks, but at least it's not boring. Like, does that make sense? Because the other two were just boring. They were boring. But the Search for Squarepants one wasn't boring. I mean, the humor and dialogue were cringe as hell, but I still had some fun with the movie. I couldn't say the same for the other two. I did not have fun with those at all. They just sucked. Especially the Sandy Cheeks one. That one is the worst out of all of them, if I'm going to be honest. But anyway, we'll save that my thoughts on those movies for a rant stream like 3 days from now on Thursday. Yeah, let's go ahead and get into these movies here. And man, I have a lot to say about all these movies, especially the FNAF 2 movie. We're gonna get that one out of the way first because, well, let me talk about the film chronology. Well, I'm gonna get the FNAF 2 movie out of the way first after I talk about the film chronology because it's the worst one out of all these movies, which we already know. FNAF 2 was not going to compare to Zootopia 1 or 2. Let's be real. It just wasn't going to. So I'm gonna get that one out of the way first because that movie just pissed me off. Like it was just very, very bad. As I think I mentioned it if in one of my streams or on Discord, I don't remember, but it was just a very bad movie. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. So Zootopia 1 came out in March on March 4th, 2016, as someone said in the chat. Um Zootopia, so that's like what? That was what, 9 years ago? Zootopia 2 came out on November 26th, 2025. Now I'm talking about the US release dates because I know in like because I know like these both these movies were released somewhere else first. So I'm talking about the US release dates only. And Five Nights at Freddy's 2 was released just after Zootopia 2, so on December 5th. And I believe I watched these movies in this order. Zootopia 1 how many years ago? And then Zootopia 2 um like a few weeks ago and then Five Nights at Freddy's 2 just after like maybe a week after that. I don't remember, but like I remember watching Zootopia 2 before FNAF 2. Like at least a week a, at least a week's difference. So, yeah. Let's talk about FNAF 2. So, these hold up. Yeah, see, FNAF 2, that's the thing. It's a funny as hell bad movie. It's so bad that it's good, you know? Because it's just objectively a very bad movie. It's supposed to be a horror film, yet it makes you laugh. It doesn't make you scared or tense or anxious like a good horror film would do. No, it just makes you laugh because it's just very badly directed and written. Whoever directed the movie and whoever wrote the movie, you suck. You suck. This is terrible. This is dog shit. You fucked up miserably. I can't think of any good things about this movie. I genuinely can't think of any. It's just that bad. Yeah, that's the thing. Like this movie literally took what the first movie did in terms of flaws and somehow exacerbated those flaws. I don't know how you make a mid movie even worse this time around. Because the first one wasn't perfect. It was pretty mid, but I still kind of enjoyed it. I still kind of liked it. And then you have this movie, which was somehow so much worse. I cannot name a single positive thing in this film. I guess maybe the visuals are all right. I mean, the restaurant, the second Five Nights at Freddy's restaurant, yes, there's a second one in this movie. You know, just like in the games, I'm not even gonna bother explaining the story because it's such a nothing story. But yeah, there's a second restaurant this time around that features, the toy animatronics and the withered animatronics like in the games. That restaurant looked fine. It didn't look much different from the first one though, so I really do not care. Um, Really, yeah, like the visuals. See, I think the visuals were kind of lacking this time around because in the first one they were the first movie had the advantage of being the first movie, right? So the visuals there kind of get a pass, and they felt more novel compared to the visuals in the second movie, which failed to stand out because it really felt like more of the same shit. Like, does that make sense? So, no, I'm not impressed with the visuals. I wasn't impressed with them this time around. So I can't think of any positives. The movie is just that bad. I'm gonna even tell you what rating I gave the movie for this rant stream is. I'm gonna tell you what I gave for it. I gave it a 2 out of 10. Just a 2 out of 10. I guess one positive you can think of with this movie is that it makes you laugh, not for the right reasons, but it makes you laugh because it's just that bad. So I guess I'll change that to here, let me type that in. Okay. So on second thought, the movie is kind of funny, but unintentionally. So yeah, like um it's so bad that it's good because I'll get into the negatives in a moment, but yeah, the movie is just so bad. Like you know how there are just some objectively bad movies that are just so laughably awful that you can't help but laugh at them. This is one of those movies. Oh yeah, of course there are going to be spoilers. I mean, it's a rant stream. Y'all know that my rant streams have spoilers regarding the movies. I feel like I shouldn't even have to say it at this point, but yeah, there are going to be spoilers. I haven't technically mentioned any spoilers yet, but yeah, if you don't want any spoilers, click away. But if you don't care, then keep watching. Yeah, this movie was written by Scott Cawthon, and it shows. It really showed. Um, okay, let me look something up really fast because I'm curious about. I'm just curious about one thing. Hang on. Oh yeah, this movie has a 16% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm looking at it right now. And a 26% rating on Metacritic and 5.3 out of 10 on IMDb. Now, I know that these ratings don't mean everything, but I think they're actually pretty reliable in this case because this is objectively a very bad film. So, oops. Anyway, hang on. I'm looking something up here. Let me just look this up. I'm just making this too complicated. Hang on. Okay, so Scott Cawthon was the writer for FNAF 2, but for the first movie, he co-wrote the movie. He co-wrote it with Chris Lee Hill and Tyler McIntyre. So he wasn't the only writer for the first movie, which was probably why it didn't suck as much. So, okay, I just wanted to look that up. But yeah, Scott Cawthon, you're just not a very good writer. He used to be a good writer though. I mean, like the first three FNAF games were written pretty well. Like the lore was intriguing and mysterious, but not to the point of being so confusing like it is right now because, from FNAF 4 and onwards, the lore started becoming absolute dog shit because Scott Cawthon thought that having a vague, confusing lore was better than having a well-written one. Like he was just so insecure in his writing abilities with regard to mysterious horror lore that he thought that making it practically unsolvable was good writing. Like he was so afraid that people were going to solve his lore, particularly Matt Pat. And Scott Cawthon didn't want Matt Pat to solve his lore, so he made it as confusing and irritatingly vague as possible, to the point where Matt Pat just gave up. But like Matt Pat didn't give up because the lore was so deep and complex and mysterious. No, he gave up because it was shit. So Scott Cawthon, that's not a victory. That wasn't a victory for you. That wasn't a victory for you. Like you can't write. You used to be able to write, but you can't do it anymore. So anyway, um, yeah, I know you're being sarcastic, Maple. Yeah, it's like, oh, the movie has an 85% audience rating. That must mean that it's good. No, no, sweetie, no, 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 that's not how it works. But anyway, let's get on to the negatives, and there are a lot of them. So it's really just the writing that I had the biggest issue with. And let's ignore the lackluster visuals, okay? Because even with the lackluster visuals, honestly, for a horror film, you think this movie would be better in the visual department, but it's really not. The writing is just the biggest problem with it, and there are so many facets to how to just this absolute terrible writing, absolutely terrible writing. So let's start with the bad storytelling. Now, okay, let me actually split this up because the first point is actually pretty. It's too broad for my taste, so let me just split this up. Like, let me break this down. So let's start with the dialogue. It's shit. It's terrible. Like, it wasn't that bad in the first film. I don't remember the dialogue being this bad in the first film. In the first film, the dialogue was serviceable. In this film, it's absolutely atrocious. And it kind of leads into point number three with the lame humor. But yeah, like this dialogue is so bad. It's. I think Maple actually put it best in the chat here. Let me see. He said, let me see. Hang on. He said it's the dialogue feels like it was written by someone that had never written a screenplay before. Exactly. That is exactly how it feels. Like if it felt like someone hadn't if it really felt like someone hadn't written anything before. Which is weird because it was written by Scott Cawthon, who had written something before. Like he's written books, actual books for FNAF. Like four of them, I think, if you don't count the Freddy Files or any other extra books. So, um, what happened, Scott? I mean, granted, screenplay writing is different from writing books and games, but I mean, many of the principles are still the same. So I don't understand how you go from that, from writing, from having a lore that started off pretty decently in terms of writing, and then you go to this. I don't understand it. Like it's so unnatural, so forced, and that goes into point number three with the lame ass humor. Like most of the jokes were just absolutely terrible. Like again, it feels like someone had never written a screenplay before. Like the humor was just so laughably bad. It gave me the Amazing Spider-Man 2 vibes. I'm not gonna lie. When I listened to the dialogue in this film, it reminded me of how bad the dialogue was in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. It felt exactly like that. Like just absolute cringe dialogue and lame humor all around. Because see, the thing is that this movie did make me laugh, but not when it wanted to, right? Like, like the jokes that it actually had were not funny. And the characters in this film don't talk like real people. Well, I mean, some of them do, but some of them don't. Like, this is one of the hallmarks of amateurish writing when your dialogue does not feel natural between your characters. Like, where characters just say things that are incredibly weird or vague or just bizarre or forced or whatever. Because good dialogue is is organic. Not it doesn't have to be totally organic, but it has to be organic enough. Like it has to feel like people talking with each other most of the time. But I don't really get that with this film because many of the characters say really weird things. So I don't know. I just don't know. Was Scott Cawthon rushed by the studios? I don't know. I don't know. You might be onto something there, Maple. Maybe Scott Cawthon needed more time to write a good script, or at least a decent one. To be fair, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 did have some hilarious lines. You're a fraud, Spider-Man. Wah! It's my birthday. Now it's time for me to light my candles. Oh yeah. Yeah, those lines were just absolutely hilarious. About as hilarious as the line from the original 1994 Spider-Man animated series where Spider-Man screams Shocker's name. Grr. Oh God. Anyway, but yeah, like the dialogue just wasn't very good, particularly between the main characters. Get back here, Shocker! Yeah, that was the line. Like the voice actor must have had a field day with those lines. Oh my God. But yeah, the dialogue in this movie sucks. Um, Another thing that really annoyed me about the movie was just the bad acting. I don't remember the acting being that bad in the first film. Like the first film was serviceable in terms of acting and dialogue. In this film, the acting was just shit. And I don't blame the actors. I don't think it's really the actors because they were fine in the first film. But I think it was just really bad direction. Like I said, whoever directed this movie, you fucked up. You fucked up. Like, there are times where we were supposed to take scenes seriously, certain scenes seriously, but we ended up laughing instead. And by we, I mean me, my cousin, Stephanie, her boyfriend. Like we all went to watch this movie together. We could not stop laughing throughout much of the movie because it was just so badly directed. Like the acting was just laughably awful. And it wasn't even just us. Literally, the whole audience felt the same way too. Like there were times where we just laughed out loud at such poor acting. Like towards the end of the film, where Abby's old friends, the old animatronics from the first FNAF restaurant, showed up to save her, Mike, and Abby from all these toy animatronics and withered animatronics that showed up to attack them because of Michael Afton Jr. or what the fuck ever, whatever his name is. And and then Abby's friends had to leave. The spirits or whatever, they had to leave, unfortunately. And then Abby was crying, and then Mike was like, Abby, we have to get going. It's not safe here anymore. And then Abby was like, literally everyone laughed at that part. I laughed my ass off at that part because it was just so badly delivered. Like, I don't get how you make such a scene like that that's supposed to be emotional, like your friends literally disappearing on your ass, and then you cry and you reluctantly leave, and the whole audience just bursts into laughter. I don't get it. And that's not even the only scene. There were other scenes like that, but that was one of the ones that really made me laugh because holy shit. And of course Scott has to come right after I quote that amazing line, right? You can't escape me. I'll chase you to the ends of the earth. Yeah, like Spider-Man was literally high on venom. Oh yeah, it was William Afton. The father's name was William Afton. The son's name was Mike Afton. Sorry. I'm sorry, I keep mixing up their names. Probably because I just don't care enough. But anyway, but yeah, Mike Afton, the son, Vanessa's brother. Yes, he has a brother apparently. He's the antagonist of this film, although not really, because he's hardly in it. If I'm going to be honest, it just gives me Hans vibes from Frozen 2, right? where the villain should have more of a presence in the story, but just doesn't. It's very much the same thing here. So, but we'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, the acting was just not very good. So, yeah, sorry, like, just very bad acting. It's straight up acting so bad that it just makes you laugh. It was either crappy direction or they were just there to collect a paycheck. It could have been both. It could have been both, Maple. Who knows? Because again, I don't think it's the actor's fault. I just think it was just that direction. Or perhaps they just didn't care. Maybe it was their fault. Do they have jump scares? Oh yes, the movies have jump scares if you're talking about those. And that just brings me to my next point, the jump scares. Well, let's before we go into that, let's talk about a different point that leads into this point about the jump scares. The movie's not scary. It's not scary. Like it's a horror film, right? It's supposed to be a horror film. It's not scary though. Like the first movie at least was kind of unsettling. It wasn't entirely scary, but it was kind of unsettling. But this movie is not unsettling or scary at all. Like it's just absolutely boring in terms of scare factor. Like the horror scenes were really stupid. Like really either really boring or just straight up over dramatic. Like just over the top and not even in a good way because a lot of horror movies have over the top scenes but done in a way that's actually entertaining and scary. Not here. The horror scenes just suck in this movie. They suck. Like this movie did not scare me at all. The first movie kind of unsettled me, but this movie didn't do that. It didn't do that at all. I just don't get how you make the second movie worse in this regard. Like, it's your second movie. You experimented with the first. You kind of know what works and what doesn't. At least in theory, you would know what works and what doesn't. And then you go and make something like this that wasn't scary at all. I just don't get it. Like, seriously, a lot of these horror scenes were just so fucking stupid. Like, I mean, the best one, in my opinion, was the one where Abby's mean science teacher gets straight up eviscerated by Toy Chica. Like, just deleted, just unalived. But to me, that wasn't scary. It was just straight up ridiculous. And I found it funnier I found it kind of funny rather than scary. Like, does that make sense? Like it's like I should be scared, but I'm not. I wasn't scared. So um yeah, and the scenes with the puppet were pretty stupid too. Like towards the end of the movie where Abby becomes possessed by the puppet and she's still flying around in really dumb, obvious CGI that looks like shit. And like we I swear to God. Oh no, but before that there was also a scene where she got like where the puppet showed up and then literally just jumped her and possessed her. Both of those scenes were so bad in terms of horror. Literally the audience was just laughing their asses off. Like, holy shit. Like, are we supposed to be scared or are we supposed to be laughing? Because here's the thing, if this movie had been marketed as a comedy film, maybe it would have done a bit better, if I'm going to be honest. Because it's not a horror film. I refuse to call it one. And these jump scares, oh my god, like, they were so cheap and predictable. Like, literally, 9 times out of 10, you could predict when a jump scare was going to come. The movie was just not so in that regard. Now, granted, horror films are going to be to some degree predictable, right? Because they often follow a formula or a storyline. But at least but good horror films still know how to make things fresh and interesting. They know how to mix things up. They know how to put in some interesting twists. And they know how to catch you off guard at times. So even if you can predict some of the movie, you won't be able to predict all of it. But with FNAF 2, it was just a very predictable movie in terms of scare factor. Like, you're not going to be scared by this movie. Not even if you were a kid, you wouldn't be scared by this movie. It's just not a scary movie. Not with these predictable cheap jump scares. Like that's just really sad. It's really sad. Because FNAF is known for having some pretty good jump scares, the whole series. So for a film like this to have bad ones, doesn't really look good. It just doesn't look good. And even the first film did better in the jump scare department. The first film actually felt more like a horror film than this one did. Granted, it didn't scare me too much, but there were times where I actually felt unsettled. But FNAF 2 is just it's stupidly unscary all the way through. I did not get scared once. It's FNAF. You're supposed to get scared. Yeah, please keep things related to the stream. I don't want to talk about Just Dance right now, especially when I'm talking about something else. So, yeah, this movie wasn't scary. Let's see, what other points do I have here? Okay, so the characters. They suck in this film. Every single one of these characters is just absolutely terrible in this film. Vanessa, um, Mike, Abby, uh, Michael Afton, William Afton, the toy animatronics. Everyone sucks in this film. I can't name a single good character in this film. They all sucked. They just suck. And for various reasons. Like Abby, for example, for some reason, and I don't really know why this is, like she still misses her animatronic friends from the first one, which I don't have an issue with. That's not the issue I have. But the thing, she really misses them, which I understand. But the thing is that the movie seems to want us to see her as this really lonely girl who only had those animatronics as friends. But if you look at how at what Abby's life is like at school, she's actually not as lonely as the movie wants you to think. In fact, she's kind of popular at that school. Like, like for one thing, she told her story about the FNAF animatronics from the first movie to a bunch of kids, and they were very interested in their story. And literally, one of those kids ends up interacting with her quite a bit at school, even to the point where you could consider him her friend. Yet the movie wants us wants to give us this impression of Abby still being lonely, and I'm like, there's literally somebody at your school who's taken an interest in you and who actually treats you like a normal person, who talks to you, who enjoys your company, and the movie doesn't do much with that character. I'm like, I was expecting that character, I forgot what his name was, that boy, to join Abby in her quest to bring back her animatronic friends. I was literally expecting her to interact with him more. She doesn't, which makes no sense. And don't even get me started on their science teacher because he's a dick. He's a massive dick, and for really no good reason. Like, constantly berating his students, making them feel like shit. And, like, he's not even one of those teachers that, that are really hard on their students, but really mean well. Like, they push their students to be the best that they can be, and in the end gain some respect for them. No, he's just an asshole, period. And for no reason. Like he constantly puts down his students, especially Abby. Like he thinks that she has no potential when it comes to being someone who wants to build a robot, like someone who wants to be an engineer, robotics engineer or whatever. And he's so bad to the point where literally like he tries to discourage Abby from joining the science fair. He's like, no, you're just gonna be an embarrassment to us. Just don't bother. And but she goes anyway, and he doesn't, and he's afraid, like he once he sees her at the science fair, he's like, oh my god, she's going to ruin the science fair with her bad project, as if he's never had any students who have been bad at robotics before. I guess that was his logic. So he goes and does the unthinkable and literally destroys her science project right in the middle of everyone at the fair, which causes her to run away crying, and she just goes to the animatronics, the FNAF 2 animatronics. And I'm like, this guy is such an asshole. Like, who does that to a kid? Now, granted, I get that he was meant to be an asshole. I just don't like the way his character was. He was like cartoonishly evil and not even the good kind. I'm like, why is he such an asshole? Why? What does he have against Abby? Like, so what if her project sucks? It's just one project. Like, again, I'm sure you've had other students who have sucked at things like this. Like, and you think that this one student is going to ruin your whole science fair? Like it's not very realistic in my opinion. Like it just makes him come off as a huge dick. Although to be honest, I did like this one part where just after that guy destroyed Abby's science project, one of the students literally calls him a dick. And he's like, "Who said that?" That was funny and well deserved. But yeah, he's just an asshole. And Mike is kind of an asshole too in this film. Like, he doesn't do a good job of taking care of his only sister, like his only sibling that's alive, like Abby. He's her guardian, right? He's supposed to be taking care of her, watching over her, but he doesn't really do that throughout most of the film until it's too late. So, like, he just leaves her to do whatever most of the time. And even though she clearly misses her animatronic friends, and to the point where Vanessa outright goes up to Mike and tells him that she thinks that Abby is trying to contact the animatronics again, which could put her in danger. But Mike literally just blows her off and acts like an asshole to her. And and I'm like, Mike, you're not a very good guardian. Like when even Vanessa is actually doing a better job of freaking looking after your own sister than you are, then that's a problem. I think the first movie had a point that you just weren't fit to be a guardian for Abby. You still aren't. Like you would think he would learn from the first film, but no, he's still an inadequate guardian. And then he has the nerve to get mad at Vanessa at the very end of the film to the point of saying, "Oh, stay away from us. Like we can't trust you anymore. Just stay away from us." Okay, so Mike, hun, look, let's talk. Let's talk, Mike. Okay, I get it. Vanessa should have told you about the fact that she didn't have just one messed up relative like her father. No, she had another one who was her brother, Michael Acton, who ends up being the antagonist of this film. Like, yeah, Vanessa, in hindsight, should have told you about him, and she didn't tell you about him until it was too late. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? A lot of the crap that Vanessa's family has gone through has really nothing to do with you. So Vanessa technically isn't obligated to tell you everything about her dark past. Especially when throughout the film you didn't even want to talk about anything related to FNAF in the first place. So why were you expecting Vanessa to come out and tell you about the fact that she doesn't have just an evil father, but also an evil brother? Like you're gonna get mad at her for not telling you about that when you weren't even opening when you wouldn't even listen to what she was telling you about your sister wanting to meet the animatronics again? It's like Vanessa is really the only one actually doing anything right here, and Mike has the audacity to get mad at her. Like, you're an asshole, dude. You're an asshole. Like, you don't, you, like, and not to mention that he kept constantly lying to Abby about promising to fix the animatronics, but he ended up not doing that in the end. Although, to be fair, he did apologize for that, but it just goes to show that Mike is just not a very good character in this film. Like, he's a twat. He's just a huge twat. Like, really, a lot of this could have been avoided if he had just listened to Vanessa from the beginning. But you didn't want to do that, so you don't get to blame anyone, fam. You fucked up. And plus, Vanessa can't control what her family does, so I don't know why you're getting mad at her. I mean, I can understand wanting to stay away from her because, she just has a crappy family, but you made it sound like she was to blame for everything. No, no, she wasn't. So, yeah, screw you. And, and hold on, let me read the chat here. This guy in FNAF 2, on the other hand, he's just an asshole for the sake of being an asshole. Yeah, that's a teacher. That's a science teacher for you. He's just an asshole for really no good reason. And so Mike is an asshole, and the teacher's an asshole, and Abby's just kind of weirdly written, and now we get to Vanessa. So Vanessa's still dealing with the trauma from her father, trying to kill pretty much everyone in the first film. At least I think that's what happened. It's been a while. But basically he just wasn't a very good person. and and so Vanessa was still dealing with the trauma of, having to help Mike and Abby fight against her own father, but it was done in such a really stupid way. Like her trauma was resolved so weirdly. Like she keeps having these flashbacks or these panic attacks or whatever, and then literally one night she just has a nightmare about him, but she manages to conquer her fear of him in just that literally just that one nightmare. Like she starts off being afraid of him and running away from him, but then towards the end she manages to best him by just shooting him with her gun a bunch of times, and then he falls from the second floor of some random house to I think it's their house to the floor, and then he just dies, and then that's it. Like that's the weirdest way to conquer your trauma, if I'm going to be honest. Like running away from your dad and then shooting the living hell out of him. I don't know. It just felt really weird. Like it's just just really stupid. Like I thought her trauma from the first film was just not handled very well because it wasn't a bad plot device. It just sucked. So So yeah, I can't name a single character in this film who was handled pretty well. They were all terrible. Um, yeah, I think did I cover all the negative points? I think I did. But yeah, this movie is just terrible all around. I can't like there are just almost no positives that I can say about the movie. No positives. Yeah, the ending was abrupt and frustrating too because Vanessa got possessed by the fucking marionette. So, yeah, sequel baiting. And of course, there was a scene with Springtrap at the end, like in, I think, which was the case in what? I think that was also the case in FNAF 2, or was that scene in FNAF 2 or FNAF 3? I cannot remember. But you guys know what scene I'm talking about, right? Where there's a scene of Springtrap coming to life in some abandoned horror attraction. But yeah, that was also in the movie. Yeah, Vanessa just got possessed, and then that was it. Like, oh, okay, sure, whatever. Like, it was just so stupid. Like, it was such a dumb ending. I guess one thing I could say, I guess I could go back and say that there was one positive. Like, the withered ones, the new and withered ones from FNAF 2 looked good. They did look good. I will admit that. So I actually liked how Toy Chica, Toy Freddy, and Toy Bonnie looked, as well as the old animatronics. I liked how Mangle looked. Like they all looked good. Um, so I guess I'll give the movie points for that. Um, I didn't like that Toy Chica had a lot more lines than Toy Bonnie and Toy Freddy did because Toy Bonnie had only like what a few lines and they were all delivered by Matt Pat. And Toy Freddy only had like what one line. Like, I just didn't like that Toy Chica did pretty much most of the talking out of all the toy animatronics. Mangle didn't even have any lines. Although to be fair, Mangle just emits static, so it's like so I give Mangle a pass. But the other animatronics, Toy Freddy and Toy Bonnie, barely even talked, so I was not a fan of that. So um yeah, that's really the only I can only name two positive things about this film. It's unintentionally funny, and the toy and withered animatronics looked um they looked good. But yeah, the positives of this film are greatly outweighed by the negatives, outweighed and outnumbered. Most baited sequel bait ever, basically. I also kind of like Megan Fox's Toy Chica. Yeah, that was a treat. She was a treat. And I did like Toy Chica, teaching the science teacher a lesson. I mean, I didn't like that he died, but I like that he got some sort of comeuppance because that was just a really messed up thing to do to a child. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, they made Michael the villain in this game, in this movie. Let me talk about Michael actually. I knew I was missing a character. So he he's the villain of this in this one, but he doesn't but like the thing is that he is foreshadowed to be the villain kind of early on, but like he doesn't actually have much focus or screen time in the movie until towards the very end, which is really stupid compared to the first film where the villain's eventual reveal made sense. Like in the second film, it just did not make any sense. Like I would think that Michael would have had a bit more screen time and development, but literally he shows up sometime at the beginning of towards the beginning of the film, giving these kids who are doing this lame ass show about hunting ghosts or whatever. Well, not hunting ghosts, like just finding them or whatever. I don't remember. But he gives them a tour of the FNAF2 restaurant, and then ends like two of them end up dying to the animatronics, and then one of them ends up getting possessed by the marionette. Um, but but like but he doesn't show up in the movie until right when Michael and Abby I'm sorry, Michael and Vanessa are in some house. I don't remember which house. They're in some house. I think it's Mike's house because I remember Abby being in her bedroom shortly before she got possessed by the marionette. So they're all at Mike's house trying to fight out these animatronics, and then that trying to fight out the marionette, and then that was when Michael Afton showed up, and then he talked about his plan or whatever, his evil plan. I'm like, dude, you could have done that earlier. Like I would have expected you to have a bit more presence in this film, but you only show up for like basically a total of two times in this film. Oh yeah, and there was also this black guy character who I barely remember because he was just not very important. But like towards the end of the film, when Michael Afton is trying to run away, when he tried to run away after all of the all of the all of the toy and withered animatronics were taken out by the old animatronics. Um, that black guy knocks Afton down, and I think Afton goes to prison after that. Michael Afton, but I don't remember. I don't even think they show him going to prison. I just like because the movie ends like right when Vanessa gets possessed by the marionette. So yeah, like these characters were just shit all around. So I think that those are all the negatives. And yeah, I talked a lot about this movie. I had so much to say about it because it was just very bad. Now, granted, I wasn't expecting anything different. I knew that the film was going to be crap. I came in with low expectations, but the film managed to be even worse than I thought. I had already set the bar so low for this movie because the first movie was very mid, but somehow the second movie went and shattered my expectations because it was even worse than I could have imagined. Like, how do you go from a mid movie to a bad movie? Like, I would think it'd be the other way around, but I guess not. So yeah, just bad storytelling all around. So I just needed to get this movie out of the way because it just pissed me off the most. It was just so bad, laughably bad. Scott Cawthon, you You used to be a good writer, or at least a decent one. Like, what happened? Do you need to take screenwriting classes? I think you need to take some screenwriting classes, Scott. I genuinely think you need to take some because you don't know what you're doing. You didn't know what you were doing with this film. You didn't. And honestly, I feel like Scott should just stop making FNAF content in general because, as Maple pointed out earlier in the chat, the lore is just so messy at this point that yeah, you're better off just not making any movies. Like it's always going to be a problem making movies because of just how messy the lore is. And really, a lot of this could have been avoided if Scott hadn't felt the desire to make his lore as complicated and interconnected as possible. It's just the MCU and Kingdom Hearts all over again, but it's even worse. Like the FNAF lore makes the MCU and Kingdom Hearts actually look better in comparison. That's how messed up the lore is. It's just very bad. It's just not good. It started off good with the first three games, and then it just nosedived in quality from there. Like after that point, it just dipped in quality sharply. This could have been the first movie This could have been to the first movie what Sonic 2 was to Sonic 1, a video game sequel that improves upon the original in every way, but instead just makes everything worse. Yeah, exactly. I gave the first one a pass because I thought it worked in the baby's first horror movie kind of way. Yeah, I felt the same way. Like it was mid, but it was serviceable, right? And I still kind of enjoyed it. But this one, on the other hand, just no. Yeah, like seriously, how do you go from FNAF 1 to FNAF 2 in terms of quality? Like, how does that happen, Scott? What were you doing? Don't write anything like this ever again. You're not good at it. You're just not good at this kind of stuff. Take some screenwriting classes before you do this again. You have the time and money for it. Please, Scott, just please, like, if you're not going to stop making FNAF content, I honestly think you should. Because honestly, the series is just so messy at this point. I think you should just stop. But even if you were to keep writing stuff like this, I would recommend that you take some screenwriting classes because you clearly do not know how to write screenplays, and it shows. 1 out of 4 stars for me. Yeah, that's actually very close to my ranking for it, which I mentioned earlier in the stream, but I'll mention it again. I gave this film a 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10. Probably the worst of the recent movies I've watched. It same for me. Same for me. Out of all the recent movies I've watched, this is by far the worst. Even Search for SquarePants was better than this. Yeah, it actually was. Not gonna lie, Search for SquarePants was actually a better film than this movie was. And that's really sad because Search for SquarePants wasn't very good. But here's the thing though, I didn't find it boring. But FNAF 2 was boring. Like it's just a boring film. It's supposed to be a funny I'm not sorry, not funny. It's supposed to be a scary film, but it ended up being funny and unintentionally so. But when it was trying to be serious, it was boring. Like I just don't understand how this happened. And this movie, a lot of people hype this movie up. Like, guys, stop hyping these movies up. Like, I thought the first one was gonna suck. It ended up not. I mean, Well, I thought the first one was. I didn't think the first one was gonna suck. I just thought it wasn't gonna be very good, and it ended up not being very good. But at least it was serviceable. But this one was just terrible all around. So, um, yeah. I'm sorry. I just don't want to talk about this movie anymore. It's just so bad. Can we talk about something good now? Like, please, like, can we talk about something good now? Oh man. I mean, I'm sure, as Maple pointed out in the chat, like, you know, like this film did likely make a profit for Bloomhouse. So, yeah, the quality isn't going to matter to them very much because it's FNAF. Like, with FNAF, and like literally FNAF content sells like crazy. Scott Cawthon knew how, like he created a gold mine. So like the movie can suck and people and it would still make a shit ton of money. But yeah, this movie, I don't know if it's no, if it's gonna get a sequel. If it does, though, I do hope that they get someone other than Scott Cawthon to write it. So yeah, the Sandy Cheeks movie, I would say that one was worse than this one because the Sandy Cheeks movie was even more boring than FNAF 2. FNAF 2 was unintentionally funny. The Sandy Cheeks movie was not funny at all. It tried to be funny. It clearly had a lot of jokes, some of which were recycled from the first three seasons of SpongeBob or even from the SpongeBob movie. Um, but none of those jokes landed. It was just a very boring movie. But we'll get to that when we get to it. Because God, that the Shang-Chi's movie is just absolutely awful. But just the worst out of all the movies. The Search for SquarePants movie, the Plankton movie, the Shang-Chi's movie. Um, like the Shang-Chi's movie was the worst one out of all of them. Jesus Christ. I would give it a 1 out of 10. But again, I'm saying a 1 out of 10. The 1 point is for the animation, which is not the greatest, but it was kind of cute. It was kind of charming. But anyway, maybe 1.5 if I want to be generous. But yeah. Why do people keep coming to my streams and talking about Just Dance? Stop doing it. Please stop doing it. It's like I feel like that's what all people want to talk about with regard to my channel. Just shut the fuck up about Just Dance, please. I'm tired of hearing about it. It's not the only thing I play. Anyway, I'm sorry to sound mean, but I'm really tired of hearing it. Yeah, so anyway, let's talk about something positive now. Zootopia 1. And then we'll talk about Zootopia 2, which I thought was actually better than Zootopia 1. But we'll talk about Zootopia 1 first, which was already a pretty good film. So, I mean, let's face it, like, you guys already know what I'm going to say. Literally everything about the film is great. Or at the very least, good. Like, really, like, it's just such a good movie all around. And I actually liked rewatching it. As I mentioned early in the stream, I rewatched it recently, and it was actually, to be honest, I remember liking it a bit more when I first watched it, but I still liked watching it a lot a second time. So I don't know, maybe maybe the movie's flaws were a bit more prominent for me this time around, but still, I still think Zootopia 1 is a great movie. So let's start with the story. The story was, of course, great. I actually like the idea of predator and prey, learning to coexist in a society and eventually doing that. And I already know that there's a similar series out there that does the same thing, but it's a lot darker and more mature. That being the Beastars anime series and manga series, which I'm a fan of, by the way. I'm a fan of both Zootopia and Beastars. Um, but I think Zootopia does the whole prey versus predator thing better, if I'm going to be honest, because Beastars does well with it, but like, well enough, but like, it has problems with it. So, yeah, but we're not here to talk about Beastars. We're talking about Zootopia 1 and 2. But yeah, like the story, I liked it. I liked the idea of predator and prey coming together and learning to live to coexist because back then they couldn't do that because one group was busy trying to eat the other. But now that's not a problem. The predators have completely lost their instincts entirely. Whereas in V Stars, if we like to show you guys how these two series contrast each other, in V Stars, the predators, they're called carnivores in that series. The instinct to eat the herbivores or the prey in that series is still there. Um, but well, see, actually, no. Like it's there, but like the thing is that no, let me not even get into that. Like Beastars has some really weird lore about how predator and prey came together, but basically like omnivorous instincts are an issue in Beastars, whereas in Zootopia they're not. And so the predators have lost all of their instincts and coexist with the prey peacefully. So I like that, but unfortunately, there's still some prejudice between the two groups, and not even just prejudice between the two groups, but prejudice within groups. Like literally every series, every species, sorry, has prejudice towards them. Like people don't think highly of small herbivores like sheep and bunnies. Hence why Bellwether and Judy get mistreated a lot in the film. Whereas people think of foxes like Nick as, shifty, no good, making crooks and whatnot and stuff like that. So, um, so yeah, like there's just a lot of prejudice in that world. Like everybody coexists, yeah, but there are clearly there are clearly a lot of issues regarding the society, which is funny because Utopia, to Judy, like Judy thought Utopia was just utopia where all the predator and prey and just species all around, they got along with each other. But when she actually went to live there and have a job as a cop, she saw that that just wasn't the case. Like it, she learned very quickly how how naive she was because holy shit. Like that city has a lot of problems regarding prejudice. Like the chief of the Zootopia police department, Chief Bogo, he's an asshole. Like he's just an asshole. Like he's an asshole in general to everyone, but like, well, he makes it a few exceptions, but like he just really does not think highly of Judy and straight up just doesn't like her because he just doesn't think bunnies can be cops. He's not the only one that thinks that, but he's the one that's perhaps the meanest about it. So yeah, like that. So yeah, like pretty much no matter where you go in the animal world, you're bound to face some sort of prejudice, whether it be Judy's hometown or Zootopia. So I think the story was great in handling all those prejudices and helping and showing the audience, not just telling them, but showing them how harmful these prejudices can be. And of course, you also had the issue with the night howler stuff and the predators going feral, and which caused even more tensions between predator and prey. And Judy unfortunately got mixed up in it all, and she ended up, to some degree, she ended up splitting the town apart with her comments about the predator attacks, which also caused her to um it's also caused her to have a fallout with Nick, who had become her friend. Um, so like at first they were not very nice to each other, but like they do actually grow as friends over the film, which was really nice to see. Um, yeah, there's just many good things I can say about the story. I mean, the dialogue was good. Um, the characters were great for reasons I just explained. The world building was great. I mean, I liked all the characters really. I can't name a single one that I didn't like. Um, like even Chief Bogo I like because he really was a perfect example of people who are just of people who are just so judgmental that they won't give other people a chance. And and he works as, well, he's kind of an antagonist, not like the antagonist, but he's an antagonist, and he works very well that way. And of course, Nick and Judy are great characters as well. Um, with them learning to overcome their biases and their shortcomings and to trust in one another. Um, and of course, she had plenty of good side characters like Claw Hauser and Flash the Sloth and Gazelle. It was basically this universe's version of Shakira. And and Bellwether, I liked her. I mean, she ended up being the twist villain for the movie. Um, I will comment more on her later, but yeah, like I actually liked all the characters. And of course, the humor was good. Like I actually liked this movie. I thought it was funny. Not as funny as the second one. The second one's actually a lot funnier than the first one, but the first one actually had some pretty good jokes. Like Judy's comment about rabbits multiplying, being good at multiplying. Yeah, she's voiced by Shakira. Yeah, Gazelle is voiced by Shakira. Shakira is the one that does her singing voice. But yeah, I actually do like the writing. Like the humor is good. The characters were written pretty well. I mean, I do have a few complaints about one of them, but uh, but really, I I thought the writing was good overall. So I made sure to rewatch the original before seeing the sequel. Oh wow. Because I did the exact opposite. I just watched the sequel outright and then later went to rewatch the original. Time to talk about a movie that doesn't suck. Yep, and that's what we're doing. So, anything else I can say? Um, let's see. Story, humor, characters. I'd say the mayor was also a good character. Just the kind of mayor who meant well, but just did not handle things very well. And he was kind of corrupt too, and he didn't treat Bellwether very well either. So there was that. So yeah, I mean, I can't name a single bad character in this film. I thought all the characters were written well, and they were all very useful in just showcasing just how prejudice can hurt people. And not even just prejudice, but discrimination as well. Like how Chief Bogo straight up would not let Judy actually do anything other than being a meter maid, which is technically a form of discrimination if you think about it. So, I mean, and he could have gone in trouble for that, if I'm going to be honest. But I mean, at that Zootopia, and Chief Bogo himself said this, Zootopia was a pretty broken place, at least before Nick and Judy came along. But so like, sure, Judy could have tried to get Chief Bogo in trouble, but it wouldn't have worked. Especially when Chief Bogo wasn't the only one who had some sort of prejudice against Judy. But but yeah, like I think all the characters were written well and they all served the story pretty well. And of course the visuals were good. Like the movie actually looked quite good. I like the art style a lot. I like the animation and the art style. Like the movie just looks so good. Like I rewatched it recently and it still looks pretty good. Now granted the second one looks even better than the first, but that's to be expected. But the first one looks really good. Like it's just such good animation. I actually really like that art style. But but yeah. And I do like how Zootopia looks as a city. Like when Judy goes to the city for the first time, like we get like a little introduction to a little scene of the city, an introduction to it, like showing all of the different quirks and places and whatnot in the city as Judy goes through it. Like Zootopia is it's such a big and vibrant and colorful city, and the movie does it such the movie does a lot of justice. So yeah, I really do like the visuals, and the city still looks good in the second film. So there's that. Yeah, the mayor was voiced by J.K. Simmons. That's right. I should try watching Zootopia 2 with my mom one day. She loves Disney stuff, so much so that she even went to one of the Disney places during the vacation. Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, you should definitely watch Utopia 2 with her. I'm sure she would love the movie. I actually posted a video of J.K. Simmons when he threw the first pitch at a game I attended. Oh, nice. Nice. But yeah, oh, hang on. The playback is all the way back. Why is the playback so long? Okay, there we go. Okay, so the voice acting. Like it was pretty excellent. I can't name a single bad performance from any of the voice actors. They were all good, great even. So, I mean, I don't have much to say about that. Like everyone did well in their roles. Chibogo definitely sounded like a like a hardened, cynical, domineering boss. Judy definitely sounded like the upbeat, young, naive hero that Zootopia desperately needed. And Nick definitely sounded like a fast-talking hustler who's had a rough past but can do so much better. Like really everyone fit all the voice actors fit their roles quite nicely and they had good performances. So what else is there to say? And the soundtrack was also great. I like the songs, especially one of the ones from Shakira, Try Everything. That song's a bop. And you literally all the characters are dancing to it at the end of the film too. So that that also that really makes the song even better in my opinion. But but yeah, there are also other good songs, but that one was the one that stood out to me the most. So yeah, really this movie was just good all around. Jared Bush, you wrote a pretty good movie, and you wrote an even better one in the sequel for the sequel. Like yeah, you just knocked it out of the park. Yeah, this movie does have quite a voice cast. Like Idris Elba as Chief Bogo, J.K. Simmons as the mayor, Shakira as Gazelle, and then you have the voice actors for Nick and Judy. I believe. Let me check something. Hang on. Yeah, that's right. Jennifer. I think it's Jennifer Ginnifer. I don't know how to pronounce that. But Miss Goodwin as Judy Hopps, Jason Bateman as Nick Wilde, and so on and so forth. Yeah, that's right. Idris Elba was Deadshot in the Suicide Squad. That's right. He was. And he was also Knuckles in the Sonic movies, and I believe he was Heimdall in the Thor movies. So, so yeah, like he has quite the second Suicide Squad movie. Like he was Will Smith was Deadshot in the first Suicide Squad movie. Idris Elba was Deadshot in the second one. But but yeah, like Idris Elba has quite the resume. He was also the Martian Pacific Rim. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Because I have not seen that movie, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, he's had quite a lot of roles, a lot of acting and voice acting roles, and he's good at his job. Maybe he could teach The Rock how to act. But anyway, I'm sorry, that was mean. That was mean. Um, maybe he could also teach John Cena how to act. I mean, they were both in the second Suicide Squad movie. But anyway, um, so, but yeah, Zootopia 1, just a great film all around. And again, I do love the relationship between Nick and Judy in the first film. It started off mildly antagonistic, although with Nick's, starting it and shit. But they grew to like each other and and yeah. And it was really sweet how Nick went from not giving a shit about Judy to actually standing up for her when Chief Bogo got mad at Judy and demanded her badge at one point when he thought she had failed to bring back a missing person. So I thought that was a pretty cool moment for Nick. Oh yeah, I also like the mafia boss character, like the Arctic Shrew or whatever, who was basically the movie's version of The Godfather, and and his daughter, and I liked his. I think it was his daughter, or his grand. No, his daughter. Um, I liked her too. Frou Frou, what's her name? Who's basically like Kim Kardashian, if I'm gonna be honest. Like they even have the same hairstyle. So, but yeah, they were enjoyable too. The Rock is too busy now with Moana 2026 and Jumanji 4. Oh God, there's a fourth one? Wait, there was a third one at some point? Because I remember watching two of the live action well, I mean, I'm sorry, live action is a stupid name for it. No, I remember watching two of the new Jumanji movies, like the first and second. Was there a third at some point? Because you mentioned four, I'm like, wait, there's a third one? But but do I have any negatives for Zootopia? Yeah, like just one. I forgot to put it down. I legit forgot to put it down here. But actually, no, I have two, not one. Just but two. I have two negatives. The second one was Welcome to the Jungle in 2017. Yes, I remember watching the second one. I did not know that there was a third one though. I was like, wait, what? Because the second one had Aquafina and it didn't it? But um but anyway, yeah, I do have a few negatives regarding the first movie. So, okay, so there was this scene at so there was this part of the movie where um Nick got mad at Judy for saying some pretty prejudiced things about predators. And then he even proves his point further by pointing out that Judy had the fox spray on her person. You know, the fox spray that her parents had given her at the start of the film. So he he wasn't happy. He wasn't happy about her remarks about predators. So which upset him, and rightfully so. So so he basically just leaves Judy, and despite Judy wanting to talk to him, and which is sad, which is pretty sad because because Judy actually thought that Nick would make for a good cop, especially um as her partner, and he even um she even handed him an application, and he had actually filled it out when he called Judy out on her crap. Uh, so when Judy actually looked at it, she was like, "Oh, damn." So that was a pretty sad moment. But here's the thing, though. I don't like that. So here's the thing. Both Nick and Judy had biases towards each other. Like, they did. But for some reason, why? Okay, so for some reason, why is Judy the only one who has to apologize? Because throughout the film, they both had biases, not just Judy. Nick had biases towards Judy, and at one point took advantage of her so that he could, profit off his ice cream business. But for some reason, only Judy is the one who has to apologize in the end. So, why is that? Because Nick had a right to be mad at Judy, but I just don't get why the movie only had Judy apologize and not Nick. Like, if your message is that people should not be prejudiced towards each other, you should extend that message to everyone, not just one person. Especially when Judy technically didn't even mean any harm when she had that speech. But I just found it weird how she's the only one who has to apologize, but not Nick. It just does not make any sense to me. So that's my first negative for the film. I guess because Judy's supposed to be seen as a bad person because she's a police officer. I guess that's fair, but I just feel like it's a bit selective. Like, again, Like she's not the only important character. Nick is important too, but yet only she has to apologize and not him. Like the message kind of falls flat in that way. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, it's not a huge deal. It doesn't ruin the movie, obviously. It's kind of minor, really, but it's just something that I find slightly irritating. So I'm just gonna put that down as a negative. And I know not everyone's gonna agree with me on that, and that's fine, but that's just how I feel. So that's one thing I have an issue with. But again, it's very minor. It's just very minor. Another thing, another thing that annoyed me about the film slightly was that Bellwether. See, a lot of people complain about Bellwether as a twist villain. Like, and I can understand why. I don't think she was handled as well as she could have been because there was a bit of foreshadowing for her twist. Because like for one thing, she had Doug's number. Remember Doug the sheep, the guy who was behind the whole Night Howler thing, where he would shoot predators, where he shot a lot of predators with those Night Howler balls and made them snap. That sheep, like well ram, but whatever. Um, like she had his number on her desk. And another thing that foreshadowed her twist was that the mayor, who was a predator, by the way, kept mistreating her, like thinking of her as, like, he just basically treating her as if she didn't exist, just constantly yelling at her and berating her and whatnot. So, so there were a few hints here and there, but the thing is that they just weren't developed very properly. It was kind of like it was kind of like Hans from Frozen, but not as bad. Because Hans, like there were a few things that foreshadowed his twist, but honestly, Hans just was not a very good villain, regardless. But Bellwether here actually kind of works as a villain, so there's that. I do understand though that she kind of wasn't foreshadowed enough. Like I feel like she could have been a bit foreshadowed more because for one thing, like she isn't in the movie all that much, and which is weird because she is basically like when you think about it, she's actually like dark mirror to Judy, right? Because both of them are small prey who are looked down upon by society. They're both demeaned by both their bosses treat them like shit, right? Chief Bogo treats Judy like shit. The mayor treats Bellwether like shit. So like they're both, treated like shit by their bosses and underappreciated, like just constantly mistreated. But the difference between these two characters, Bellwether and Judy, is that Judy eventually had someone like Nick to help her push through her struggles and become a better person and to achieve her dreams anyway. But Bellwether didn't have anyone like that. She didn't. Like, she was all alone. So she eventually snapped. Like, she was so tired of the way she was treated by society that she just snapped. And I do feel really bad for her. But the thing is that we don't get enough focus on her or enough foreshadowing to really, for her twist to really pay off. Like, as maybe pointed out in the chat, it kind of felt tacked on. Like, I really feel like she should have had more development and screen time. But I understand that giving her too much of it would have made the twist too obvious. But like I feel like they could have done a bit more with her, like especially giving her more interactions with Judy, because again, they're supposed to be foils to each other or parallels. Maybe that's a better term, like parallels to each other. Because honestly, I feel like Bellwether should have had more of a presence in the film. Like she could have been worked into the film more without making her twist too obvious. So yeah, that's another negative I have with the film. Bellwether Bellwether's twists should have been handled better. And this is actually the more serious issue of these two negatives that I have. Like that's just how I feel. Like it kind of did feel tacked on. Like I feel like she should have had more focus as a character. But in theory she works. She works. Again, she's meant to be the opposite of Judy. Because in stories, often the protagonist has a dark mirror that's the antagonist, to help to help like establish a sort of strong contrast between the two groups. Like what makes a protagonist the good guy usually, what makes the antagonist usually the bad guy. Like it's a common storytelling technique, and Zootopia 2 does I'm sorry, Zootopia 1 does it pretty decently, but like it could have been better. It almost felt like the twist was only there just so it checked all the boxes that was needed for a Disney movie. Fair enough. I mean, Bellwether works in practice. She just needed a bit more time to develop. Like because honestly, I didn't see her twist coming, but the thing is that it just wasn't it just wasn't handled very well in my opinion. Because like I said, she had Doug's number on her desk, but the thing is that that's not something a lot of people are going to notice the first time around. And even though the mayor treated Bellwether like shit, like the thing is that like we didn't really get to know enough about Bellwether as a character because because even though she was constantly looked down on and underappreciated, we don't really get a full explanation as to why she dislikes predators in particular. Because she doesn't seem to have an issue with prey. It's just predators in particular that she has an issue with. So so obviously her bad relationship with Mayor was a catalyst for that, but we still should have had more time for her to develop as a character so that we could understand her motivations more because really her twist felt kind of tacked on. But again, she was a better villain than Hans from Frozen, so I will give her that. She was a better twist villain than Hans from Frozen. But yeah, she should have had more development and screen time. But overall, aside from those minor issues I have with the movie, really, Zootopia 1 is still great overall. And yeah, it definitely stands alongside Tangled, Wreck-It Ralph, and Kanto. Because I love all those movies. I love all of them. I even have a DVD, no, a Blu-ray and a 4K of Encanto and Tangled. And I'm looking at them right now, actually. They're on my shelf. A very strong 3.5 out of 4 stars for me. Okay, cool. For me, it would be, what would that be if you were to, here, let me do the math really quickly. See, an 8.75. That's actually similar to my rating. 8.75 out of 10. That would be the math for 3.5 out of 4. Um, that's actually a similar rating to mine because I gave the movie an 8.5 out of 10. So it's about the same again. I love Wreck-It Ralph. Me too. Ralph Breaks the Internet. I mean, I like it, but it's not as good as the first. Like, not even close. It has a lot of issues, but we've already talked about those in the previous Rantstream. But yeah, Wreck-It Ralph, great. Ralph Breaks the Internet, not great. And when you think about it, Wreck-It Ralph is actually kind of similar to Zootopia, if we think about it, because both deal with prejudice, if you think about it. Because Wreck-It Ralph, that Ralph was basically just a misunderstood guy. Like he didn't like that everyone else in this game saw him as the bad guy. I mean, technically he was technically only doing his role in the game, right? Only playing acting out his role, but he could sense that certain other video game characters perceived him a certain way, and he didn't like that. He was kind of like Shrek in that way. So yeah, like with Zootopia, it's a similar thing where Judy and Nick also face biases from other people. So like Wreck-It Ralph and Zootopia are similar in that sense, where the protagonists have to deal with um basically finding their place in society and wanting to be better. I guess that's one way of putting it. Perhaps I could have put it in a better way, but you get what I mean. Like basically, both stories deal with judgment from others. But anyway, that's Utopia 1. So now we move on to Zootopia 2. Um, Zootopia 2, man, oh man, I love this film. If you thought I liked the first film, which I do, oh, you, oh man, like, just wait until you hear what I have to say about Zootopia 2. Because it's just an amazing story. Like, it's just an amazing movie. Not the best movie I've seen, but one of the best in recent years because it's just so good. Like they took an already good movie and made it a lot better. Unlike FNAF 2, Zootopia 2 is actually better than its predecessor in my opinion. So instead of worse. So I mean like everything is good great. Everything is great about this movie. Like I don't know where to start. Like there's just so many good things about this movie. Um I like the story. I like the visuals, the humor, the voice acting, the soundtrack, everything. The story is actually pretty interesting. It was an interesting way of explaining upon the lore of Zootopia, where where it actually wasn't just a mammalian society at first. No, there were reptiles. There was a reptilian part of society, but they were driven away by these evil lynxes named the Lynxleys. And so now Zootopia ended up being only a place for mammals. But the movie is about finding that reptilian society and getting them to rejoin Zootopia because one of the reptiles from that society, Gary the Snake, her runs like really storms the like infiltrates the Linksley house, steals an important book from them, a book that actually a book that's actually important to restoring reptilian society within Zootopia, and he tries to run off with it. And unfortunately he comes across Nick and Judy, who kind of get in the way of his plans, but they eventually work together along with one of the Linksleys named Pauber. And so they're all on a quest to uh show the rest of Zootopia that reptiles are just as much a part of society as mammals are. So it's like reptiles versus mammals, basically. Except the reptiles don't hate the mammals, but they do resent the fact that they've been pushed out of society. So, oh, hold on one moment. Yeah, hi. Oh, I'm sorry. Hmm. Oh shit. I think sorry. It looks like I'm talking too loudly. Hmm. The stepsister came in and kindly asked me to lower my voice. So, oops. Sorry, I was not expecting to talk that loudly. I should probably do these rant streams downstairs next time. But then, see, the thing about that is that I'd have to move my webcam and shit, and I just don't feel like doing that. I'd have to switch to my laptop webcam, but if I have to do that, then I guess I'll just do it. But that's beside the point. Anyway, I will talk more quietly from now on. So, yeah, this movie is just so great. I do like the lore of mammals and reptiles, like, you know, at odds with each other, with them being reunited at the end of the film. And of course, you had some interesting new characters such as Pauber and his family, the horse guy who's the new mayor, the beaver character who everybody thought was some sort of wacko, but was actually right about pretty much everything. regarding reptiles and stuff, and and so on and so forth. But yeah, plenty of interesting characters this time around, and they all served the narrative pretty well. Particularly Pauper, who I actually found Pauper interesting. I know some people didn't like how his character was handled, and we'll get to that in a moment, but I I actually liked him in the film. Like, he was someone who was basically the outcast of his family, basically seen as a disappointment and embarrassment to them, and he wanted to prove himself to his family at one point, which made him the twist villain. But we'll get to that later. So, because I know, actually, no, we can talk about it right now. So we're talking about all these characters. So, Pauper, um, some people, at least when I've heard from one of my friends, some people thought that he was too obvious a villain, which I actually kind of agree with. I mean, like literally from the very first scene that introduced him, I thought he was going to be the villain. Like it was just really obvious from the first scene. I'm not gonna lie. Like, although at that point he hadn't done anything villainous yet. Like he wasn't doing anything villainous, he but yeah, like it was pretty obvious that he was going to be the villain. Like he kind of gave me Hans vibes from Frozen. But the thing is that the movie kind of plays with your expectations regarding Paubert's character. Like it plays with your expectations a bit because at least that was the case for me because like the moment he started talking, literally the moment he started talking, I thought he's gonna be the villain, isn't he? Like the moment he started talking to Judy, I was like, yeah, he's gonna be the villain. But then the movie later makes you think otherwise, or at least tries to make you think otherwise, um, because like we see him working with Gary the Snake at one point, like they literally hurry and help Judy out of a sticky situation. Um, Unfortunately, Nick gets left behind, yeah. Like at that point, I thought, oh well, I guess Pauper's not a villain then. But no, the movie goes and then plays with your expectations again by showing him as the villain, like like towards the end. So even though like it was obvious that he was going to be the villain. The movie does make you question it, which I actually thought was pretty cool. Not gonna lie, because there are some stories that work like that where you think someone's going to be the villain at first, but then the story makes you think otherwise. But then like the story's like, nope, no, you're right. He was the villain. So I actually found that pretty funny and interesting. I don't think it's bad writing. I actually thought it was good writing, clever writing. But like I think the reason that the writers did this, well, Jared Bush basically did most, if not all, the writing, but I think the reason that the story was written this way was because they just didn't want to repeat of Bellwether, who was who wasn't obviously the villain at first, but then was shown to be the villain later on. With Pauper, they kind of did something else where it was obvious he was going to be the villain, but then they made you question it halfway through the film. But then at the end of the film, they made you think, oh no, you were right, fam. He was the villain. So yeah, like I thought that was a fun move. And when you listen to his motivations, like he actually does explain himself at the end of the film. If you listen to his motivations, they do make sense. See, the thing about Pauper is that he was brought up in a pretty horrible household. Like his family was constantly mean to him. They constantly mistreated him. They didn't think much of him. They didn't give him the love and affection that he so desperately needed and craved. Um, Especially his father. Like his father was the worst of all of them. And like he lived in such a horrible environment, and he didn't really know how to be a better person. He had no one to help him out, to teach him better. So he learned basically all of his family's horrible ways, and then he decided to basically like sacrifice or even kill others just to win his family's admiration. Like he said it himself. He didn't want to be better. Judy said, "You could be better," but then Popper said, "I don't want to be better." He did not want to be better. So yeah, it's so yeah, like it's so yeah, like the twist that so that Popper's twist actually works. So I know some people are like, I don't like Popper. I can understand why, but honestly, I thought he was overall a well-written character. Yeah, I honestly felt shocked when he made his betrayal too, but then I realized, oh wait, I had suspected that he was the villain, so I guess I shouldn't be too surprised because it kind of does come out of nowhere, but when you think about it, it does make sense. Hopper grew up in a crappy family and ended up being a crappy person because, as the old saying goes, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. So his twist works, just not in the way that people were expecting. But that's okay. Yeah, it was just mostly the timing of his attack in that exact moment. Maybe the timing could have been a bit better. Maybe? I don't know. I'm not gonna say that he was written perfectly, but I thought he was written pretty well overall. And And in a way, his character is kind of refreshing because, there are a lot of these characters who come from crappy families and end up doing bad things as a result, but then other people show them to be better, um, which is not bad at all. I actually like that kind of story. But sometimes it's nice to just have characters who not only don't know any better, but don't want to be better. And Popper is one of those characters. He doesn't want to be better. He knows he could be better, but he doesn't want to be. So it's nice to have a villain like that for a change, to shake things up. Because honestly, he could have been another Bellwether, but I'm so glad the writers didn't go down that route because we didn't need to have a second Bellwether. Yeah, like this movie is so good, Kind Gamer Patrick. You're right. Like it's hard to decide where to start with regard to all the positives that the movie has. I don't know if I would say this is better than the original Zootopia, but it's probably more fun if you know what I mean. Yeah, it's a lot more fun. It's a lot funnier. The first one was funny, but this one was a lot funnier. There were a lot more jokes. It feels like the social political commentary took a bit of a backseat here in favor of more focus on the buddy cop dynamics, the comedy, the Easter eggs, and the world building. Yeah, pretty much. That's exactly what happened. Um, excuse me. That's how I feel. I even watched a review recently that basically said the same thing. Like, this movie has a lot less social political commentary and it focused a lot more on the comedy and whatnot, which works to the movie's advantage. So, yeah. So, where was I? Wow. Okay. But yeah, I thought the story was overall great. Although, in my opinion, I think I like the story from the first movie a bit better. That's just me. Like, I thought the world building was interesting, but I think I like the movie's first story a bit better. I don't know. I felt like it was a bit more profound than this one was. I'm not saying that this one was shallow, but I don't know. I just feel like the first movie had a slightly better story. But both stories were great, though. But that's just me. I know some people think because like really this could go either way. Some people are gonna think that Zootopia 2 is better, some people are gonna think that Zootopia 1 is better. I personally think that Zootopia 2 is better overall, but that's just me. Now, as I said earlier in the stream, the visuals were great. Like, just great, really great. Like, the movie just looks very, very good. Even better than the first movie did, because I watched this movie before rewatching the first movie. The second movie blew me out of the water with its visuals. It just, everything looks so good. The characters, the environments, the world, like really everything. Like, it's just such a good looking movie. And the first movie still holds up in terms of visuals. It's aged pretty well. So, so going from a good-looking movie like Zootopia 1 to an even better-looking movie like Zootopia 2 is quite the accomplishment. So, I mean, I'm not too surprised because it's Disney and they do know how to animate well when they want to. Um, but it's still remarkable in my opinion. And yeah, the voice acting was pretty great. Like just the same as the first movie. Like all the voice actors did pretty well. They handled all the roles quite well. Oh, hey Nate, how are you? Oh yeah, and there are plenty of newcomers here in terms of voice actors. Yeah, like this has an even more stacked voice cast than the first movie, which makes sense because this movie has more characters to deal with. But yeah, like this movie had a really solid voice cast. Everyone did really well in their roles. Everyone. I think like Gary the Snake, the Beaver character, I forgot what her name was. It started with an M, I think. Um, Hobart, really like that lizard guy from that bar, reptilian bar, whatever. Like really, I liked all, as well as Paubert's father. They all had good voice actors. I can't name a single bad performance from this movie. Like the voice acting stands out even more here because there are more actors. So like there are more actors here than in the first movie. So yeah, but yeah, the voice acting was just overall great. You got Josh Gad, aka Olaf the Snowman, as Paul the Mole. Oh, nice. They even got Michael J. Fox from Back to the Future. Ooh, nice. Andy Samberg, aka Ben Riley from Spyverse. Oh yeah, that's right. He was in this film. So yeah, this film had had a lot of voice actors, a really solid voice cast all around. And yeah, there are more that I can list. Maple's listing them in the chat right now, but you get the idea. They hired a lot of talent for this movie, and it really showed. I think I already talked a bit about the humor, but let me talk about it more because yeah, honestly, it's just so good. Like this movie is just a lot funny, a lot funnier than the. I mean, the first one was pretty funny, but this one was even funnier, like a lot funnier. Like oh my god! Not to say that the first movie is worse for not being as funny. I'm just saying that the second movie was just funnier. Period. There were so many good jokes, so many good jokes. Like I was constantly laughing throughout the film with my cousin Stephanie and her boyfriend. We had such a blast with this film. Like there were so many times I laughed. Like with Zootopia 1, I didn't laugh as much, but there were times where I still laughed. So Zootopia 2 is just more it's more lighthearted than Zootopia 1 is. And that's fine. It works for that film. Like both films work in their own way. This isn't to say that one is better than the other in this regard. But yeah, like the humor was good in the first film and it was even better here. And of course the soundtrack was great. Plenty of good songs here. And of course Shakira lends us her wonderful voice again. So yeah, like really really like the movie looks good, it sounds good. It's just good all around. There's one joke that kind of triggered me. Oh, what was the joke? Mostly the one where the guy goes on about there being so many sequels and remakes in the movie industry. Are you talking about that Weasel guy who sells bootleg shit? Oh wait, no, that was in the first movie, wasn't it? Oops, I think that was in the first movie. Whoops, never mind. I don't remember honestly, but I think that was in the first movie. My bad. Oh wait, no. Oh wait, no. That was in this movie. I don't even remember. So I honestly don't remember. I don't remember that scene too well though. It's like the movie wants to come across a story and share at Disney when it comes off more as Disney giving themselves a pat on the back for it. That's fair, especially when Disney's literally a big reason as to why this kind of thing is happening. Like they're the biggest offender of this kind of thing. They're the ones pushing out all these remakes and sequels that nobody's asking for. I mean, it's fine to make fun of yourself. Like it's perfectly fine to do that. There's nothing wrong with making fun of yourself, and that can actually make for some good humor. But it's it but the but like there's but like the things that you have to do it in a way that is funny, because if you do it like this it's just not going to be good. So yeah, like it's okay to have self-deprecating humor, but you need to know how to use it well. But oh, I don't know, because honestly I don't remember that scene all too well. I wish I could rewatch the movie. I mean, I could just go to the movie theater and rewatch it, but I'd rather just wait until it comes out on Disney Plus, or just go out and buy the 4K and 4K Blu-ray 4K slash Blu-ray discs for it. The 4K and Blu-ray discs, like I do with like I had those for Zootopia 1, but not for Zootopia 2, because I don't think Zootopia 2's have come out yet, which makes sense because the movie came out like what at the end of the last month. But once it becomes physical, oh, I'm going to get that crap. Like I will buy that right away. I don't care. Let me actually look up when it's going to be released on Blu-ray, DVD, and 4K. Oops. So I guess early February or March 2026. That's what Google AI, Gemini or whatever has told me. So I guess I'm gonna have to wait a few months, which is fine. I'm not in a rush to watch the movie again. Oh, there's a novelization of this movie already, which I don't care to watch. I never read the novelizations. Yeah, buy the 4K Blu-ray disc of the first one. I mean, granted, the movie is on Disney Plus, like almost every other Disney movie, but like that one, I just want to keep. Like, there's a certain movies that you want to keep for yourself, right? So, and this Zootopia is one of them for me, because it is one of my favorite Disney movies of all time, and so is Zootopia too. Yeah, it's off topic. Please stop talking about it. So, like, I don't know why people keep doing this. Stop talking about Just Dance. If you want to talk about Just Dance so badly, either join my Discord server or go to a video where I play a Just Dance game or whatever and talk there. Like, don't do it on my streams. Please don't. Just don't do it. Just don't. Like, it's really annoying. Like, it's like that's literally all people ever talk about on my channel. Stop doing it. Like, limit limit that stuff to my Just Dance videos and my Discord server. Like, I don't care if you like if I'm playing a game that's different from Just Dance, like say what like the newest Indiana Jones game. Like, I don't mind going off topic like once in a while and talking about other games or whatnot. But if it's a rant stream where I'm specifically talking about certain movies, then no, don't do that. Just don't talk about Just Dance. Like, this is a movie rant stream, a rant stream about movies, not a rant stream about video games. Yeah, I have a Discord. I know not everybody knows that, but yeah, I do have a Discord, which I did. Did I not put in? I really should start putting in the description more. But but yes, I do have a Discord. Let me just put it on my channel actually. Let me do that right now. But I think I've talked about pretty much every positive regarding Zootopia. Let me. Yeah, let me just put it in my. Let me just put it on my channel right now so people can join. Okay. Okay, there we go. It's been added. Yeah, and I can also put in the video description too. Let's see, let me do that. Yeah. Okay, we're good now. I'm glad we were able to work that out. Yeah. Honestly, I really should have put this on my channel like a long time ago. It's just that I rarely ever visit my channel, and I can see that I've not updated that stuff in a long time. So I've not updated in a long time, so I didn't think to do it until now. But yeah, but hopefully I'll, uh, you know, people will be more aware of my Discord server now. Anyway, um, yeah, I already watched Inside Out and I already did a ranking on those movies, the first and second. So you can watch that. It should be somewhere on my channel. Just look it up. But anyway, I think uh yeah, I think I pretty much talked about everything regarding the positives. The negatives, there's really only one that I have. So Gary the Snake, the snake that Nick and Judy uh meet at some point in the movie, like pretty early in the movie actually. And the guy who's the reason as to why this whole plot is happening in the first place, the plot to restore to get reptilians to live in Zootopia again. This guy, Gary the Snake, has little focus and development in the film. He does. And I'm not quite sure why. Like, he's not, I mean, he's not in the film a lot. Like, he's not focused on very much. He doesn't develop very much, despite him being arguably, supposedly, one of the most important characters. Because again, he's the reason as to why this whole, well, he's not the only reason, but he's the main reason as to why this entire plot happens. He steals a book from the Linksley family in order to bring reptiles back to Zootopia and to find his family because his family like got separated from him. So a character like that, a character who basically starts off the entire plot, For him to have so little focus and screen time and development, that just rubs me the wrong way. Which is weird because the Beaver character, she actually has more focus and screen time than than Gary the Snake does. She technically wasn't even supposed to be that important. Just somebody to help out Nick and Judy, but I guess the writers over time decided to put her in the story more because she was just that enjoyable of a character, which I'm not going to complain about. I actually enjoyed the Beaver character a lot. I actually really liked her character. I thought she was funny and engaging and heartwarming. But that time that was spent on her character, some of that time could have been spent on the snake because the snake is honestly kind of a flat character, as I pointed out. Like he acts like Judy's his best friend ever when the two don't interact very much in the film. And Nick doesn't even get to properly interact with him until near the end of the film. It's weird because the trailer gives you these trailers. Like, if you've seen the trailers for the movie where the snake is a prominent focus, like, you get the impression he's going to be he's going to be quite integral to the plot. And in the way he is, like, but I expected him to, interact with Judy and Nick a lot more than he did. So it's just weird that this character, who is the reason as to why the plot even happens, is just kind of irrelevant. Which is why when he got to meet his family in the end, I didn't feel much of anything. I mean, I was happy for him. I was like, oh, he found his family, but I wasn't like emotionally invested all that much because again, he wasn't focused on very much. And because he wasn't focused on very much, I didn't feel much for him. If he were just another side character, I really wouldn't care. But he's not. Like, he's one of the most important characters in the film. Yet, yet the story does not focus much on him. And his character is just very simplistic too. Like, he's this naive yet really good-hearted snake, and that's fine, but that's literally all he is. So it just doesn't make him a very interesting character. Like, yeah, he does have a lot of. I guess I should rephrase this. I mean, he does. I should say that he does have quite a bit of screen time, but my issue is that he's not focused on enough. The focus is more on Robert or Nick or Judy or even the Beaver character. The snake does have screen time, but he's just not focused on as much. If that makes sense. So like, I just don't understand it. And I watched a few other reviews that basically said the same thing. Of course, that doesn't automatically mean that we're all correct. It's just that like I'm unsurprisingly I'm not the only one with this opinion. It's just really weird. Like he should have had more development and more focus, but he didn't. But it's just a very minor. It's just a very minor thing. Like, I mean, not minor enough to ignore, but minor enough not to ruin the story. Like that snake really should have had more focus and development. But it's whatever. Also, god damn it, can Nick and Judy just kiss already? I really wanted them to kiss in the film, or not necessarily kiss, like just be romantically involved. But I'm fine with them not being an item. They didn't pull the bad guys too, unfortunately. But I mean, I'm fine with them like still being friends. If they do eventually get together, I hope it's in the third film because the second film actually did a good job of fleshing out the relationship further. Like the first film did a good job of setting up the relationship. The second one did a good job of fleshing it out. Hopefully, the third one can actually bring their relationship to the next level. Because I know Disney knows that people want Nick and Judy to come together, but they're teasing people at this point. They're teasing people, which is fine. As long like it's not necessarily bad to do a whole will they or won't they kind of thing, as long as it's done well, because there are cases where it's not done very well, but this is not one of those cases. Anyway, that scene near the end where they confessed their feelings with one another was quite emotional, to be honest. Yeah, it was, and it was funny too, but it was also emotional because the things that they were having partnership issues at the beginning of the film and throughout a lot of the film, but if most of the film really, but eventually they did actually come to terms with their negative feelings. And so now they're in a healthier place. And hopefully now that that issue has been taken care of, they can focus on being an item if they're going to be an item. So, but yeah, my only issue is just the damn snake. Like, he should have had more of an impact on the story because he's important, but he's so basic as a character. He needed more focus and development. That's the only complaint I have with the movie. Everything else is I don't have an issue with. It's just that. Some complained that that scene was too on the nose, but I see it as two characters that struggle to confess their feelings to other people. Yeah, basically. I mean, it might have been a bit heavy-handed, but who cares? Like, I think that was kind of the point. Like, it was meant to be heavy-handed in a way that was silly but emotional. Like, I think that was intentional. But I know people have differing opinions on that, so it's just whatever. But yeah, good night, kind gamer Patrick. I mean, I pretty much told you guys everything about my opinions. Well, let me talk about this really fast. So, yeah, I gave Five Nights at Freddy's 2 a 2 out of 10, Zootopia 1 an 8.5 out of 10, and Zootopia 2 a 9.5 out of 10 because I really, really like Zootopia 2. Yeah, it's just a really good film. Um, but yeah, good night, Kanga and Patrick, and thank you for coming. But yeah, the FNAF, Zootopia 2, sorry. It's a great film overall. But let's go to our conclusion now. So, I'm sorry, let me check that. Let me change this. The FNAF 2 movie. The FNAF 2 movie is absolutely awful. It's far worse than the first one, which was pretty mid. But the first Utopia movie is great. It's just great. And the second Zootopia movie is even better, in my opinion. But I really like both, regardless. I think they're both great films. So I would give Five Nights at Freddy's 2, again, a 2 out of 10. Zootopia 1 gets an 8.5 out of 10. And Zootopia 2 gets a 9.5 out of 10. And with me, it's actually pretty hard for movies to be like a 9 or higher. So if I say a movie is a 9.5 out of 10, chances are that it really is. And Zootopia 2 is just phenomenal. I just love this movie so much. FNAF 2, I hated. Well, I didn't hate it, I just thought it sucked. But Zootopia 1 was a great film. Still great to this day. And Zootopia 2 managed to make it even better. The whole series, I mean. So like, yeah, I'm really happy with both Zootopia movies, and I will never touch the FNAF 2 movie again because it just sucked. I just needed to get that out of the way first because holy shit, it was bad. But I'm glad we got a chance to talk about things that didn't suck. The Zootopia movies. But yeah, that is the end of my Rantstream. And yeah, I do hope that in Zootopia 3, and there's obviously going to be a third one, like there was a bit of sequel bait at the end of the second one. Um, I really do hope that I too hope that that a romance between Nick and Judy is um it happens in the first and the third one. I hope a romance between Nick and Judy happens in the third one, in the third film. I would like to see a romance between the two. Honestly, I think they're perfect for each other because because they're opposites, and as the old saying goes, opposites attract. One thing I forgot to point out, however, actually no, I already technically pointed out. I guess I should say I did like the way they handle Nick and Judy's relationship. Well, I kind of already talked about this, but I guess I'll emphasize this one particular point. Like Nick and Judy's relationship was handled pretty well in this one too, just like in the first one, but in a different way because in the first one they were both developing a friendship, and in the second one their friendship was constantly being tested by their different opinions and ideals and approaches, and they were having partnership issues. So I'm glad the movie actually I thought the movie handled that really well. I thought that was good writing, so that's all I wanted to say. And hopefully the third movie actually makes him an item. Yeah, I already answered that. I already did Inside Out 1 and 2. Like, there was a rant, like, as I said, look it up on my channel. There's already a rant stream about those two movies. But that's all I have to say about the movie, all these three movies. FNAF 2, Zootopia 1, Zootopia 2. The first one sucks. The first movie I talked about, I mean, FNAF 2. But the other two movies that I talked about, the second and third movies, those being Zootopia 1 and 2, were great, especially Zootopia 2. I'm not going to say that Zootopia 2 is a lot better than the first one, but in my opinion, it is a bit better. Except when it comes to the story, because honestly, I think the first one is a bit better in that department, but Zootopia 2 does pretty much everything else better. But again, the gap between the two in terms of quality is just very narrow. They're both very good films. Zootopia 2 is basically like Inside Out 2 in a lot of ways, although I still prefer Inside Out 2 overall. I prefer Zootopia 2, if I'm going to be honest. I think that one's the better movie, but we have different opinions. But like, but yeah, like I honestly thought Zootopia 2 was a better sequel to Zootopia than Inside Out 2 was to Inside Out. Not that Inside Out 2 was a bad sequel. It wasn't. It was a good sequel. I just thought Zootopia 2 was the better sequel. But that's just me. But that's all I have left to say. I think the original Zootopia is fresher and has more meat to the story, but Zootopia 2 is probably more fun and faster paced. That's exactly how I feel, honestly. That's why I think the story is a bit better in Zootopia 2, but Zootopia 2 is just. I'm sorry, the story is a bit better in Zootopia 1, in my opinion. Sorry. But in Zootopia 2, the story is just more fun and faster paced and wackier. So that was just how I felt. So I actually didn't mind that Zootopia 2 was a little inferior in terms of storytelling, but because it more than made up for it in a number of other ways. But those are my thoughts. I don't think I have anything else left to say. And of course, we still have the SpongeBob movies to talk about because I have a lot to say about those. They're all terrible. Again, they're all horrible. They all suck. Okay, well, horrible might be a strong word for two of the movies. Because two of the movies are just not very good, but the Sandy Chiefs one, that one is absolutely horrible. But we'll save that for Thursday. I will do a rant stream on Thursday for that. And then that'll be it for rant streams for now. I don't feel like doing a rant stream for the Wicked movies. I just don't. They were both very good. I think the first one's a bit better. but the second one is just more exciting and faster paced. Kind of like Zootopia. Well, it's kind of like I guess it's kind of like Zootopia 1 and 2, except that in this case, the first movie is the better one. Whereas with Zootopia 1 and 2, I think the second movie is the better one. Even though both both first movies had slightly better storytelling. So I think that's just how I feel though. I'm quite soft on the Plankton movie. Fair enough. I'm quite indifferent to Search for SquarePants. Yeah, fair enough. And Sandy Cheeks, yeah, that one was just the worst one out of all of them. Someone thought that Sandy Cheeks needed a movie. She didn't need a movie. I mean, I'm not opposed to the idea of her having a movie, but she didn't need a movie. If you're not gonna do a movie for her very well, don't like. It's one of those cases where you just like. There are times where you just shouldn't bother trying to do something. Just don't try because you're gonna fuck it up. And Sandy Cheeks was the Sandy Cheeks movie was the epitome of that. But yeah, like we'll get to that when we get to it because I'm gonna save all of my anger and rage and frustration and indifference at the SpongeBob movies for the next rant stream. That was probably the first movie I ever watched where I legit thought it was made by an AI. I don't blame you. It does have that vibe because it's just terrible all around. I can't name a single good thing about it other than the animation, which wasn't bad. It wasn't the greatest, but it wasn't bad either. It was pretty decent. I kind of liked it. I liked the art style, but that's the only positive thing I have to say about it. There was not a single original idea, joke, or even line of dialogue that in that entire film. Yeah, it felt very cookie cutter, copy paste, AI generated, mismatched bullshit. Like it just felt like a clusterfuck of everything that had been done before in earlier SpongeBob works, but done better. So like those earlier works did this stuff better. It's just very bad, but we'll get to that later. Mm. But yeah, you and I will have a lot of fun ripping that movie a new one because it is just absolutely awful. All of them aren't very good, but I feel like we're gonna disagree a bit on the Plankton movie because honestly, I didn't like it very much. I thought it was very boring. But I know you have a soft spot for it. But I will admit that it wasn't terrible. It just wasn't very good. Yeah, that movie triggers me too. Like, don't worry, we'll get to that. We will get to that. We will. I understand. I understand. You want to rip into that movie right now. Honestly, I want to rip into it right now too. But yeah, we really should save it for Thursday's rant stream. We might just have to get that one out of the way first because that one is the one that triggers you and me the most. So we'll get that one out of the way first, and then we'll do. It's a toss up between the Play the Movie and Search for SquarePants. I'm probably gonna do Search for SquarePants first, but oh, second, I mean, but I don't know. We'll see. You turn it off after 10 minutes when you first watched on your phone. Oh my God. I don't blame you. Again, I couldn't watch either the Plankton movie or the Sandy Cheeks movie in one sitting. I had to split up. I had to split each one up into two sittings because I just could not stand watching either one, especially the Sandy Cheeks one. Like that one, the Plankton movie, I found it tolerable. The Sandy Cheeks movie, I couldn't stand that. It was so bad. It was if you thought the Plankton movie and the Search for SquarePants movies were bad, no, this one is the Sandy Cheeks movie is even worse than those two combined. Combined. God, I can't wait to rip into that on Thursday. All of them, but especially the Sandy Cheeks movie because holy shit, Jesus Almighty, it is very bad. Whoever wrote it should never write anything ever again. Just saying. I'm sorry, but there are some people who simply should not be writers. They shouldn't be writers. Like, if you can't write, don't write. Either get some writing classes or don't write. And like you're wasting everyone's time. Stop. I still got my banger review for saying cheese on my blog. I think I'll read that before I do the rant stream because you might bring up a few good points that I probably won't even think to consider. I might not even think to consider those, but we will see. Uh, but I will read it before I'll probably read your reviews on the Plankton movie and search for SquarePants if you have them as well. But but yeah, I will look through your at least through your Sandy Cheeks review because oh God, I that someone actually made that movie. Someone actually thought this was a good idea. Oh my God. I'll share it again before the rant stream. Okay, thank you. Yes, please do that. But yeah, that's really all I have left to say about Zootopia 1, Zootopia 2, and FNAF 2. I recommend Zootopia 1 and 2. I don't recommend FNAF 2 or even FNAF 1. I don't recommend either of those. Don't watch those. Go watch something else that's worth your time and money. But the first movie for FNAF is serviceable. The second is straight up terrible. Don't watch it. If you're gonna watch if you're gonna watch one of the movies, watch FNAF 1. FNAF 1 movie, I mean. Don't watch the FNAF 2 movie. Just don't. I don't think you should watch either, but if you're gonna watch one, watch the FNAF 1 movie. Don't watch the FNAF 2 movie. But Zootopia 1 and 2, you have to watch both. I highly recommend both. Oh, you didn't do a review for those two movies, but you just decided to rank them. Okay, that's fine. I'll still read the Sandy Cheeks one. But I think that's all I have left to say. So, so yeah, does anybody in the chat have anything else to say? As I said before, I did share my box office predictions for next year. Yeah, you shared those with my server. You posted those in my server today, actually. I saw. I do think that there will be a lot of heavy hitters next year that will make it the best year for theaters since COVID, but I don't think it will return to the same level as it was pre-COVID. Yeah, that's fair. But then again, we'll have to wait and see. I do hope I'm wrong on most of these because I would love to have five or more movies make $1 billion next year. I would love that too. I gotta go with my honest guts, my predictions. Fair enough. This. I'll just say that I strongly believe the highest grossing film next year will not be Avengers Doomsday, but the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Probably. I think that's actually a pretty fair prediction because we all saw how much hype and success the first Mario film had, although I don't think it deserved that hype and success because it was a mid movie at the end of the day. But yeah, I think the second movie will do even better than the first. But I'm only like predicting. I'm only making predictions based on what I've seen from the trailer for the Galaxy movie, which I've seen quite a bit. I've seen the trailer like at least twice. So because they show these kinds of trailers before other movies in theaters, so that's why I've seen that trailer more than once. Normally, I don't watch a trailer more than once unless I have no choice but to if I'm in like the theater. So, but yeah, hopefully the Galaxy movie is good. I mean, I don't have high expectations though, considering how the first one was in terms of quality, which was pretty average, pretty mid. But we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. We will just have to wait and see. I say this mostly because animated kids movies and video game adaptations are much more successful now than superhero movies. Yeah, that's true. Because at one point, superhero movies were pretty popular and successful. Like, I remember how big the first Avengers movie was. Like, it was big. But nowadays, it's like, whatever. Although it has been neat to see some folks get super excited over some of the recent teasers for Doomsday. That's good to see as well. Because the thing is that Avengers Endgame was basically it was the end of a huge saga of adventure movies. So Marvel doesn't seem to understand where to go after that point. Like what to do with their entire series after that point. But I think they can come back. I think they can come back from that. They're trying to do something with the Thunderbolts and it kind of worked. I thought it was a decent film. It wasn't the greatest film ever, but it wasn't bad. So who knows? We'll just have to see. If you want to, I can share what I believe my top 10 highest grossing films in 2026 will be. Okay, yeah, you can just share it in Discord and I'll take a look. Or you can share it here as well. I don't care. But but yeah, why not? How long have I been streaming? 2.5 hours. Okay. About 2.5 hours. Yeah, might as well share it here and I'll read it quickly. The Super Mario Galaxy movie 1.5 billion at least. Okay. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Avengers Doomsday 1.4, at least 1.4 billion. Okay, that works. Batman Brand New Day, at least 1.2 billion. That's also fair. I like these predictions so far. They seem pretty realistic to me. Pretty fair. Not too outrageous. Toy Story 5, 950, at least 950 million. Okay, I'm not so sure about that one. I'm not saying that I disagree with you. It's just that with Toy Story, you never really know, right? Like, it's just. I'm sorry, but the fourth movie, all the movies are good, but the fourth movie was just the weakest out of all the films. So I don't know if the fifth one is going to measure up to that, especially from what we've seen of these basic ass trailers. Minions 3, 850, I mean, 850 or more million. Yeah, that I can see. That I can see. Because it's the Minions. Everyone loves the Minions. You can't escape them, they're everywhere. The Odyssey, at least 800 million. Okay. Michael, at least 750 million. Juana, at least 700 million. Juana 2026. Okay, that one I can kind of see. That one I can kind of see, yeah. Dune Part 3, 650 million or more. And then Jumanji 4, 625 million or more. Not sure about that last one. I mean, I'm not saying that you're wrong, I'm just not sure. But I think most of these estimations are fair. And the ones that I'm not sure about, like I'm not disagreeing with really any of these. It's just some of these I'm just not few of these I'm not sure about. But again, I know these are just predictions, you know? So, but yeah, hopefully all these movies do well. I'd hate for any movie to do badly, really. Unless it's a movie that I don't feel deserves to be successful. Like Mulan 2020, it deserves to bomb. If that movie deserved to bomb. But most movies I do root for because I'd hate for people's work to go to waste. Like if your movie sucks, but if your movie sucks and you put actual genuine effort into it, I don't want you to fail. I don't want your movie to flop. Even if I don't like it, I don't want it to flop. Oh, Toy Story 3 and 4 made $1 billion? Oh, okay, well never mind then. With Toy Story 4 only making 7 million more than Toy Story 3 despite a 9-year gap. Okay, well never mind then. Maybe okay, so Toy Story 5 is your estimation for Toy Story 5 is actually make does make sense. But again, anything can happen. So we'll just have to wait and see. That's why I think Toy Story 5 will decrease down to at least $950 million. I personally think it's probably gonna be like 800, but I could be wrong. I'm sorry, but the trailers just I don't know how many trailers are. I know I've seen at least one of them. The trailer I saw with Woody at the end, it just like, I'm not like confident in Toy Story 5. I'm not. I'm just not. I think it's going to bomb. Okay, well maybe not bomb, but I think it's going to do poorly. It might not bomb, but I think it'll do poorly. And although, even so, like poor movies can still sell well. So who knows? Maybe Disney will still get a nice profit from it. I mean, it is one of their biggest IPs after all. So who knows? When is it going to be released anyway? Let me look it up. June 19, 2026. Hmm. And this and it even says this date on Pixar's official website. So anyway, yeah, we're gonna have to wait. How many more months? 6. And I put Moana 2026 at just $700 million because I get the feeling that that's going to be the odd duck out of the family movies to come out in the summer. Oh, okay. Also, because the nostalgia factor won't be there because the movie itself will only be 10 years old when it comes out, which is why they really should have waited to make a live action remake. But like it didn't need to come out this soon. So you can't have nostalgia help you, Disney. And I don't think greed is going to help you either because you have been quite greedy lately. You've been greedy for a long time, actually, but you've been getting worse and worse about it over the years, decades even. So, oops. Let's just hope Disney doesn't flop with the Moana remake. I mean, I think they will, but you never know because even though a lot of their animated, even though a lot of their live action remakes are terrible, they do have a few good ones. Like the many of them are just terrible or mid, but there are a few good ones, like the Jungle Book one. I actually like that one. No, wait, I know how to do this now. No, no, never mind, no, I'll do this. Whatever. Okay. The thing with Toy Story 5 is that some of the ideas and concepts sound interesting, but the problem is that it's Toy Story 5 and not 4. Oh, I see. I did also make predictions on 10 of the movies next year, but only in the order of release date. Okay. Let's just say, um, that the one I'm worried about the most is Supergirl. Really? Huh. Not just because most female-led action/superhero movies don't tend to do well. But I mean, you're not wrong. But also the fact that it's being sandwiched in between Toy Story 5 and Minions 3, and also having to follow up Moana, Odyssey, and Spider-Man will certainly kill any potential legs it could possibly have. Oh, that's true. The timing of the release matters. It definitely matters. So, yeah, that is definitely a cause for concern. Interesting. It's like DC and Warner Brothers were nothing after Flash bombed hard. I'm still excited for the movie because of the comic it's based on, but I don't think anyone should be surprised if it ends up struggling big time at the box office. All the other ones you can read about in my article. Okay, I will. But yeah, that actually does make sense. Well, I hope the movie does well. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. I sure do hope movie theaters make a great comeback next year. Me too, man. Me too. Sorry, I'm just looking at a few things here. But yeah, that's all I got for tonight. You got anything else? No, I don't think so. There's just no more excuses this time. Yeah, no more excuses. So hopefully movie studios get it together. But I don't have anything else to say. But yeah, I enjoyed this rant stream. It felt good ripping the hell out of the first FNAF movie, but praising the hell out of this first and second Zootopia movies. And honestly, I'm excited for the third film. I hope it's as good as the first two, if not better. But yeah, that's all I have left to say. This was another fun rant stream. Yeah, definitely. And on Thursday, we're going to have even more fun when we rip into every single SpongeBob movie, some more than others, but every single one that came out after Sponge on the Run. So, Search for SquarePants, the Plankton movie, and Sandy Cheeks, the Sandy Cheeks movie. So yes, on Thursday we'll be tackling those movies, and I've already watched all of them, so I'm good to go. But I can wait 3 days to stream those. God bless Jared Bush. I know he was literally the reason Zootopia 2 was so good. He's a great he's a great writer, honestly. Yeah. Hopefully Scott Cawthon learns from him how to write comedy. Anyway, yeah, have a great 2026. Child T he AB 8303. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry. But yeah, have a great 2026. Yeah, on New Year's Day, I'll be doing a rant stream basically. So, yeah, we're gonna have quite a bit of fun with that. Like, it'll be a great way to start off the year with me ripping into these SpongeBob movies. Anyway, yeah, I'll just go ahead and the stream. I don't have anything else left to say. So if everyone's done in the chat, I know Maple's done, but if everyone else is done, I'll go ahead and end the stream. All right. Well, anyway, thank you all so much for watching this rant stream. This was a lot of fun. I'm Miller15, and I'll see you guys next time. So until then, deuces and goodbye. Anything else you wanted to say? It's all.